So, how's the fundraiser coming along?
It takes a lot to survive.
Okay, so we okay in here? You happy?
Yeah, painting's done. We've got a border to run all around.
Danny. That's all I'm saying.
Fact remains, burning the flag is protected under the First Amendment.
No one disputes that.
I've been looking forward to a standing collaboration with that for years.
Like that. I like that.
Let's hear our Scottish news stories.
So what I am telling people across Scotland that they now must do to help us fight this virus is stay at home. That is the clear message I gave yesterday, and I am reinforcing that message now.
Hey, my name's Alex. This is a play. Kind of. Also, not a play. But let's not worry about what we call this thing, or what we might have started to call it. This thing we've always done when we get together, whatever we've started to call together. And some of us just watch and listen. Well, some of us just speak and listen. Whatever we're calling this right now, this is one of those. It's meant to take place. Wherever it takes place, it's meant to take place. Here. Which could mean you're wherever you are and everyone else is wherever they are. Joining us here to make single here. Bolting them edge to edge on the screen like self-assembly plastic storage boxes for human heads. And if that's true, then let's tell you about our own worlds outside these boxes. I'm in Airdrie, and it's one of the best places, or maybe even just maybe they were all in the same big box, all in the same air, that I can look you in your actual eye, your actual human glistening, sticky to touch, see it blink eye. Imagine that. If that's not what we're doing, if we're still at the heads and boxes stage, imagine us all in that space, how it's going to feel when it finally happens. Because it will happen, and if it happened, if we're all together in a room with air and eyes and all the sounds, the small sounds of bodies that microphones don't even notice.
What we're calling what's happening doesn't matter, but it has a name apart from that, and the name is Hold Out Your Hand. At least that's what was printed at the top of the document that they gave us, just in bold, you know, to seem important, like to say this is the title. But we're not so into that. I mean, hold out your hand. Yeah, we're not so into it. I mean, we get it when we're not stupid. We get to something that sounded like hopeful or something about like connection and contact, but it's a bit thin, isn't it? A bit on the bland side. A bit of the kind of empty optimism that's just meant to get us through this. Like something you'd say to a child, maybe like crossing a road or walking down an unfamiliar street to a funeral. Something that feels kind, right, but like unfocused. Almost as if it was a compromise. Like the guy thought, I want to make something about getting through this, but just like, not about doing, but about being there, about reassurance and how everything's just going to be okay. How if we're just here for each other, everything is going to be okay. So hold out your hand, they thought, that'll do. Except it won't. I mean, it could have been like, this, no disrespect, honestly. I mean, we're saying these words, aren't we? No disrespect, but it could have been a better title. Like, what about The Forgotten Months, or Head in a Box, or Street Has Never Been So Silent? I don't know, like something that says clearly what happened in the many shades of like feeling, from relief to joy to deepest sorrow to total fury. It's that it's possible to feel about it. I mean, whoever wrote this, for example, I mean, I'm sure it's a man, isn't it? Yeah, definitely a man. I'm sure he would agree that there's no real way that he can get inside our heads. There's a lot he doesn't know, and a lot he probably doesn't want to guess.
We're getting through this, but just that. Not about doing, but about being there. About reassurance and how everything is going to be okay. About how if we're just there for each other and everything is going to be okay. So hold out your hand, he thought, that'll do. Said they won't. It could have been like, and this is no disrespect, honestly. Like we're saying the words in me. It's no disrespect, but it could have been a bit of a better title. What about The Forgotten Months? Or Head in a Box? Or The Street Has Never Been So Silent? Something that says clearly what's happened in the many shades of feeling, from relief to joy to the deepest sorrow and total fury it's possible to feel about it. And whoever wrote this, I'm sure he's a man, right? Yeah, it's a man. And I'm sure he would agree that there's no way he can really get inside our heads. There's a lot he doesn't know, and a lot he does not want to guess. A lot he thinks, but he knows it's wrong. And the rest of it, he's just making up. He doesn't know how could the lowest point in this year for me was just giving up. Thinking if you're not going to have any control over your life, then what's the point in living it? And at the highest point was getting way too invested in a dumb game that you didn't even want to play in the first place, so the only reason you agreed to get involved was just to do something. To hear someone else's voice. I mean, how could he know that? But anyway, here we are. Probably when this is happening, and we're saying this and when you're hearing it, we're still all a bit spooked. Still a bit scared of touching each other. Everyone just feeling like we've been walking down a corridor that's lined with cheap carpets. We're about to touch a door handle. Most of us have learned to move through our own lives like ghosts, as the world changed around us in ways it never has before. Ways we had to find words to describe. It was like a door slamming shut behind you. Realising you're not locked out, you're locked in. No. It was like a montage in a film.
It was just me. No rules, no landscape, no buildings, no rocks, no responsibilities, no work to do. Everything waiting, everything suspended, and only me there, meaning no matter what my life, outside the dream was like, everything in it was my choice. And I wasn't used to that. I wasn't used to that at all. I just stood there waiting for something to happen. And it slowly crept up on me. Fearful, yeah, but also kind of thrilling. Nothing was going to happen. Nothing was going to happen. Nothing was going to happen unless I made it happen. And so I held out my hand.
Turns out, the way a dream feels, it isn't a dream. And this is what I think we're trying to say. As far as I can tell, that feeling, being swept up in events you can't control, as the weather patterns change and the hospitals fill up, and the future you wanted seems to melt under your hands. Being swept up in all that, and your smallness, but at the same time being so very still. It's not some imaginary landscape, it's the way life feels right now. And a year from now, I want to be able to sit in a class without wearing a mask and having to social distance from my classmates. And a year from now, I want to be able to spend time with my friends and my family without worrying about any COVID restrictions. And in a year from now, I just want to feel normal again. And now, right now, not the day that some guys were writing these words, late at night in the corner of some far city, but right now, in this room, or through this screen in all these rooms, that future world still feels untouchable. We're not despairing, please don't think that we're despairing. We're just saying parts of the life that we want still feel like dreams, still feel lost in a landscape we're standing in, wondering what happens next. But remember, we're still remembering the spring and the spring, the power to hold tight and the power to let go. How in the dream we knew that the world didn't just act on us, we could act on it. That there's a focus we can find inside ourselves, and then together, hold out your hand. There's power in it, hold out your hand. Still doesn't like that title.
Not grass flat, or rock flat, or artificial car park flat, but the flat of an afternoon spent looking out of a window at a leafless winter tree, and the ground the colour of the light fading on a wasted day, and the sky thrown over like an overwashed bedsheet, and the sun invisible, which is seeming to come from every direction, no shadows, no bright, and me, not even in the middle of this, because there is no middle if you can't see the edges, just there, like in my body. I was definitely in my body. I was absolutely, definitely me, wearing my clothes, my height, my hair, my skin, standing on that empty ground in a colourless dream version of my everyday shoes. I stood there for a long time. Is that it? Is that the dream? No, I was just doing a long time. Sorry. It's okay. I stood there for a long time. And I thought, do you ever think in dreams? It's really difficult. But I thought, the world's gone. And then I thought about, if that was true, and at that moment it felt true, then really, what's been lost? I didn't really feel grief. I didn't really feel happiness. There were many things I was going to miss, but there were many things I was glad to lose. I guess it kind of balanced out into a state of mind that felt like the landscape looked. I was sad to lose being in some part of a city, on my own, feeling, not knowing, feeling unknown. But I was glad to lose the eyes of strangers on me. I was glad to lose having to think about how I was going to dress, the worry of what might be thought of me. But I was sad to lose some reason of getting dressed at all. I was sad to lose some kinds of touch, but I was glad to lose some other kinds of touch.
Take a moment to think back to the time, that lost age, months, weeks, or even just days ago, when we couldn't do this, when our bodies were quiet, or at least made noises only we could hear, when maybe the only clue to our actual existence, our real world existence, was when we froze, or glitched, or had to leave and return while we stayed in the exact same place. Weird, isn't it? How whatever you're doing now, whatever way we're doing this now, can so quickly become the only way to do it. The only way we've ever done it. And I guarantee you, even though some things might be different, the distance between us if we're in a room, the tension in the room that was never there before, or the lag of the different broadband speeds, the colour and the closeness of the walls around us, will still find it hard to imagine that we used to do this any other way, or that the way we're doing it will change. Anyway, this play, this thing, or this poem, what we're calling what's happening doesn't really matter, but it has a name apart from that, and the name of it is Hold Out Your Hand. That's what was printed at the top of the document they gave us. It was in bold to seem important, to say, this is the title, but we're not so into that, hold out your hand. We're not into that. I mean, we get it, we're not stupid. We get that someone thought it sounded hopeful, about connection and contact, but it's a bit thin, isn't it? A bit on the bland side, a bit full of the kind of empty optimism that's just meant to get us through this. Like something you'd say to a child crossing a road, or maybe walking down an unfamiliar street to a funeral or something. It feels kind but unfocused, almost as if it was a compromise. Like the guy thought, I want to make something.
Blue sky, I thought, and I closed my eyes and I opened them, and something had almost happened. There was still flatness, still nothing, but maybe, just maybe, it was a slightly bluer nothing than before. The thing is, I could feel the power, like a spring inside me. Both kinds of spring, I mean, the water kind and the metal kind. Like it was gushing out, but also winding up. And the way to be in charge of both those things at once was to use them both. Think simple. Think blue. Let it flow out, but also keep the tension, the direction. By answering the question, what kind? I thought blue, but this time thought the blue of the sky. And not just any sky. All skies are blue, but the blue of the sky you see in summer. When you've been up all night, maybe you've climbed up on a roof, you're the highest point in your surroundings, and the horizon you can see knows the sun's on its way, but not for a while. No clouds or anything, no lights in any of the houses, and just at the end of the dark, there's a blue that says the morning's coming. That blue, I thought, that one. And I held out my hand, stretched my fingers wide, closed my eyes, opened my eyes, and the blue in my head was the whole world. And the world was still simple, featureless and flat, but that hopeful, gentle blue of almost morning was laid across it and within it, like it had always been there. And it felt strange. This is all sounding a bit weird, I know. This is all sounding like some mystical experience, but it wasn't that. It wasn't. The strange feeling of magic, of fantasy, of extra dimensions and portals, of alien worlds opening up. It was the strangeness of this world, even this simple world, this simple landscape from inside me, being within my control, being mine to command. One decision that was mine.
Let's see, Polly looking. Oh, she's looking forward to a party with friends on Saturday. No willow, bigger gatherings outside, probably in the rain, because we do live in Belgium. That's from Mummy, Daddy, Big Brother Sam, send you loads of love. That's from Tammy and Steve. Let's see, today's 60th wedding anniversary of my grandparents. Please show us a little hey-ho hi to them. That's from Deborah Watkins at East Riding. So let's play you a bit of this and celebrate your 60th wedding anniversary. Bit of encouragement. Get up on your feet.
You